RNA vaccine. It's within that subgroup of the many vaccines that you see out there. We are a special type of messenger RNA vaccine. We utilize self-replicating messenger RNA. So what does this mean is that when the messenger RNA molecule is injected in the arm, that the messenger RNA makes the spike protein. And this is desired, and this is what you want to do, because the spike protein will then invoke the desired immune response and protect the individual from getting infected from COVID-19. Because our technology is self-replicating, it continues to make the spike protein for 2 to 3 weeks rather than just 2 to 3 days. So conventional messenger RNA therapeutics require a booster shot a month later. But because ours is self-replicating, it lasts longer and it prints off more of the spike protein, which is advantageous because it means that we then are a single shot. There's several different messenger RNA approaches, and there's several different versions of the vaccine that we evaluated preclinically. We wanted to make sure we selected what we would deem a superior vaccine, one that's safe and effective and a potential single-shot vaccine, one that's completely devoid of additional adjuvants or coadjuvants or viral vectors. So this process required some preclinical optimization. Rather than doing the optimization in the clinic, which can be very costly and time-consuming. So we evaluated conventional messenger RNA and self-replicating messenger RNA, and we now have conviction that the self-replicating messenger RNA is superior based on data that we are ready to proceed into trials. Once we have a single shot that's optimized and identified, which we now have, we can now efficiently proceed through clinical trials. For the phase 1 trial, we want to have healthy volunteers help us understand at what dose can we replicate what we've seen in our animal testing. So we've been doing this since about February. We were approached in January by Singapore, and we initiated our efforts in February. And now we have a robust preclinical data package that very few companies have in the world, showing seroconversion, neutralizing antibodies, T-cell induction, and without undesired immune responses. 100% seroconversion at very low doses and gaining conviction in a single-shot vaccine with this data. Our vaccine is also lyophilizable for the developing countries and areas where there is no electricity, for example. It's important that we address those areas with a lyophilized product. This is a product that's shipped in a powdered form instead of a liquid form. And it means that it's more readily accessible to individuals that live in developing nations. And Singapore was at the forefront of the pathogen when it was back then an epidemic, before it was a pandemic, and they reached out to us and evaluated our technology. And the government of Singapore ultimately provided funding for this. And the Duke NUS Medical School, which is based in Singapore, are world leaders in coronavirus research, and we thought that it would be beneficial to both parties to develop a vaccine together. So it was simply because of timing. Singapore was at the forefront of the disease, and we initiated discussions fairly early and consummated the relationship and received funding from the Singapore government to develop a vaccine with the Duke NUS Medical School. Arcturus is preparing for a clinical trial in Singapore this summer. It's a 76 individuals are involved in the trial, including the elderly. Several doses will be evaluated, and the primary purpose of the trial is to lock in and determine the dose that we will be using thereafter. The initial dose will be at 1 microgram, and that's an extraordinarily low dose. And what that means is if the 1 microgram dose works, then 1 kilogram of our technology would be sufficient for 1 billion doses. Only 76 folks, and we believe we'll be able to lock in the dose and then, to what extent and to how quickly we'll get approval from the Health Sciences Authority in Singapore or the HSA, that will be dependent upon them. And to what extent other countries honor and respect the decision and approval from the HSA, that will depend on other regulatory agencies from other countries. But if another country accepts the HSA approval, then we could move this very quickly. If other countries require a pivotal trial to evaluate our technology concurrently or subsequently, then we're open to those discussions as well.
希望刚才的节目内容能够给您一定的提示，也希望您按时收看凤凰卫视资讯台的股市直播节目。我们每天股市开盘，告诉您最新的内容。当然，我们会伴随您一起走出这个困难而有喜乐的时光。